code again to get
1-2-1-2. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Monday, April the 4th. We have roll call, please.
Okay. Mark Vanneman.
Here.
Chad Kiger.
Here.
Bruce Pauley.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
Lori Gross. Here.
Here tonight. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month's meeting? Have any questions I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting minutes were approved. First order of business is docket 2228. And Mr. DeHart, do you have something you want to say? Before you say that, though, this is a public meeting, so when your docket comes up, everybody will have a chance to talk that wants to talk. Okay, I'm ready. Sorry.
No problem. Good evening. My name's Adam DeHart. I'm project manager for Keeler Webb Associates. Our offices are located at 486 Gradle Drive, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. I passed out a continuance letter and forwarded one to staff earlier this evening requesting a continuance to the next regularly scheduled meeting regarding the Mann Brothers project at 845 Indianapolis Avenue. We have some work to do with some concerned people in the area and meet with some neighbors on this subject. Haven't been able to meet with all of them yet. I want to get our ducks in a row and get that taken care of before we come in here and talk to you folks about our variances that we're looking for on that project. So we're asking to be continued until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay.
I've also asked, is there anybody in the public here on this particular item this evening? Great.
Okay, well, you're entitled to one continuance, so we'll see you next month.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, the next docket tonight is 2229. Tommy Polster on behalf of the Lebanon Shell Building Project requesting 3 development standard variances to construct a speculative industrial building to be located at 1400 West State Road 32. The property is zoned PBC, Planned Business Commercial, and is in the Thoroughfare Overlay District. Reynolds.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me tonight. Ben's on a beach somewhere and enjoying the sun, and we get to all be here, so we'll get mad at him later. But first item tonight, as you said, Mr. Pauley, docket 2229, GM Development Companies is partnering with the City of Lebanon and the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission to construct a approximately 50,000 square foot industrial shell building to market to a variety of targeted advanced manufacturing industries. Due to the desired flexibility of the building and the site and the expansion capabilities, several variances are required in order to make this happen. So we'll go ahead and give you an overview of the project. This is located out west of town. So we have State Road 32 running east-west here, Steak and Shake, Arby's, the car dealership, and then the old Kentucky Fried Chicken. That kind of gives you a ballpark of where we're at. The yellow area is the targeted parcels where this shell building will be built. The property owner is keeping the front 2 parcels up front for potential future development. So what we're looking at now is just the area in the yellow. I'll pull up the site layout that we're looking at here. So again, State Road 32 running east-west, future development in the front, but we have a shared drive that leads north-south through the middle to our proposed 50,000 square foot shell building, which is in the bright orange there in the middle of the screen. What we're looking for, the shell building itself, some of you may not be familiar with the concept, a little bit different than a spec building, in that a shell building is exactly what it is. It's walls and a roof. There's no floor, there's no paint, very little HVAC equipment, no plumbing. So it's designed to be a starting point for a company to come in and build to suit. So we don't want to go in and put 6-inch concrete floors when it could be a manufacturing facility that needs 12-inch, heavy-duty concrete floors. So the shell building itself is just a shell that is going to be designed to be flexible and expandable to meet the needs of the potential tenant. So what we're looking at is this first orange area is the initial section, could be expanded up to 82,000 square feet, and then you'll see to the east the potential for another 50,000 square foot building that could also have some expansion opportunity. So the variances that are required have a lot to do, two of them have to do with the flexibility and the ability to expand this particular shell building. So our UDO requires that all parking areas require parking lot perimeter landscaping. We've talked about it before. The applicant's proposing to meet the requirement in the front parking areas for the employees and the customers, but is requesting relief from the truck drive and the truck parking areas. So as you can see from the center of the screen here, and I can zoom in a little bit better, we've got some dock bays, truck docking that is here in the middle that could be expandable when and if the building expands. We don't want to have the developer put landscaping around the parking lot perimeter when there's a distinct possibility that landscaping is going to have to be removed when that expansion does take place. That same applies with the parking area curbing, and that's something that at almost every meeting that we've had, we talk about curbing in the truck parking areas. This particular instance is for that expansion as well. They are proposing to have curbing along the entryway drive, the employee parking areas, but are requesting relief in the truck drive and the truck parking areas. We talk about the statutory requirements each night on those, and they're in the staff report, but neither of those variance requests, parking lot perimeter landscaping or parking area curbing, would have a no imminent threat to the public health, safety, welfare, general morals of the community. The requested variances will not affect the use and value of the adjacent properties in an adverse manner. The areas have low visibility from State Road 32, so you're not going to have the property, the up front of the parcels will have the curbing and the landscaping that is more visible from 32, but everything towards the middle and the rear won't have that site, so the landscaping and curbing is not a huge priority there. And then lastly, the strict application of the terms of the UDO will result in practical difficulties. Like I said, given the flexible nature that we're going for, the desire to allow the construction to grow for a second building, any landscaping or curbing that's installed would have to be removed to accommodate that expansion. So those were the first two variance requests. The third one has to do with building materials. Mr. Pauly did indicate that this parcel is located in the Thoroughfare Overlay District, which requires all commercial uses to be constructed of 50% masonry, with the remaining portion permitted to be masonry, concrete panels, architectural metal, or EIFS, similar types of material. Metal building and post-building construction is not permitted, but the applicant tonight is proposing a modern insulated metal panel that we can get into a little bit more for the exterior, which is a finished metal on both the interior and the exterior with an insulated core. The use of the metal panel allows for greater flexibility on the sides and rear of the property when we're looking to do expansion and looking to potentially add dock doors versus concrete cast walls where you actually have to cut the holes. These panels are easily removed to allow for the flexibility and the growth that we're hoping to see on these parcels. So the variance is for building materials, relief from the 50% masonry requirement on all four sides to allow for the construction of the building with approximately 25% masonry on the front, with the remaining facades constructed with the insulated metal panels. And again, the statutory requirements and the analysis, this variance poses no imminent threat to the health, safety, welfare, or morals of the community. The requested variance of building materials will not affect the use and value of the area adjacent to the property. These materials proposed are consistent with other industrial buildings in the area and will include variations in color and design to add interest in that architecture to it. And then lastly, the strict application of the UDO would result in practical difficulties. The proposed structure is a shell building and is intended to be constructed in a way that is most flexible and can meet the particular requirements of a future tenant. The metal panels have greater flexibility than the typical precast concrete, allowing for easier variations at truck dock doors and expand the building. So with that said, planning staff does recommend approval of the three development standard variances that have been requested to permit relief from the building materials requirement, relief from the parking area curbing requirement, and relief from the parking lot perimeter landscaping requirement. And I also, I'll pull up the elevation here. This is the proposed elevation of the architectural metal panel. So you'll see we do still have 25% masonry along the front, but these metal panels will add a different texture with the colors and the variations along the front that's facing State Road 32. I threw a lot of information at you, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And we have Brent Swagner here from GM Development Companies. Can answer any specific questions about the metal panels or engineering or construction.
Questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would petitioner step forward and tell a little bit about it?
Thank you. Brent Swanger, representing GM Development, actually employed by Renovant Construction. We're the design builder for the project. So this is partly our design along with KRM, who did the initial rendering when the city of Lebanon engaged with them for the shell building. As you look at the rendering that we have on the screen, in fact, I brought a poster as well, if anybody, would sort of take a look or touch it. I also brought a sample of our insulated metal panel. The interior is a metal liner. It's a foam core and an exterior liner. It's a concealed fastener, so it's not like your typical pole barn. There's no exposed fasteners. That's really pretty common, like Matt said. It allows us to expand, to change, and build to suit for whatever company decides to move in there. So, any questions for me as far as the three variances?
Is that more or less a standing seam roof, wall panel, I guess is the way to say it?
Yes and no. It doesn't have a rib profile, so it's a flat architectural. Sorry, step away from the mic. It's a flat architectural. This will be the color that we show in the rendering. Concealed fastener. You can see they come together. So the roof is a standing seam, and this is basically a two liners with a foam core. So yes and no. It just doesn't have. You won't have a large rib. It's a very flat architectural finish. So.
What do the sides look like? I mean, that's the front rendering, correct? What
So
is,
the sides to the east and the west will be the same without the masonry, but it does have the 10-foot, we call it the wainscot at the bottom, so it's kind of a visual break. The north that you won't be able to see from the road will be another architectural, but it will be a metal panel. So it's the same material. It won't have the foam core because that is planned on being expandable, and we definitely think somebody will expand that right away. And that'll just have your typical wall insulation. Yeah. So we do have some we can share. I don't have any with me to present, but it is the same material. Yeah.
So that 25% masonry is the front only. The other three sides are the metal panels, correct?
Correct. With 10 foot, if you look at the rendering, 10 foot with that kind of revealed edge. Correct.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is a public meeting. Anybody from the public care to step forward and comment? We will close the public end of the meeting. If there's no other questions for anybody, I would entertain a motion.
a question for Matt. Would this, when the expansion happens eventually, is it gonna come back in front of us for anything with having to do with the variances, or is it?
It should not. It should not. We've tried to identify all the variances that we needed for the entire development. That's not to say that there's not a possibility with the building to the east. There could be something that comes up with that, but it's not anything that we've been able to identify at this time.
So I know you guys didn't put it in your staff report, but, you know, is there any way we can put a condition on the landscaping requirement once the parking lot is completed? That makes sense? So instead of completely, once that expansion happens, just, they're completely,
Yeah,
I mean, what kind of a requirement do you want to put on? Yes, you can, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. What kind of requirement would you like to put on it?
I mean, just go back to the standards, you know, that we have. If we're leaving it off because of the expansion, right? That's why we're requesting the variance.
it's twofold. The expansion, but then also it's the truck area. And
Okay.
we'll see it again on the next docket item. We've seen it numerous times. Trucks and curbs and landscaping don't work well together. And we learned that from our business park and things. So by eliminating the curbs and some of that parking lot perimeter landscaping in the truck area prevents, you know, trees getting run over, curbs getting crushed and having to be replaced. So it's a relief that we've offered many times in the past. I mean, like I said, it is up to the discretion of the board. You could put the contingency on there. It would be staff recommendation that we don't require it in the truck parking areas. But again, that's
Okay. So,
our recommendation.
Would it be like undisturbed areas that have alleviated the landscaping now, so any undisturbed areas would have to meet the city's requirements upon completion of the second phase?
Yeah, the second phase will require the parking lot perimeter landscaping up, if you want to pull up the site plan. So we can see here, the 54 parking spaces up front are well buffered. We've got the perimeter landscaping, building-based landscaping around the bottom of the building. The proposed future building would require the same thing. So this future parking area to the east would require the buffer landscaping. It would require the parking lot perimeter, the interior, the building-based landscaping, the curbing. The only thing that we're really talking about is this truck drive through here, and this truck dock area is where we're asking for relief from.
But we're not talking about the future 50,000 right tonight. I mean, that's just there to be on paper.
Correct. This would apply to the parcel, and this is, so the variances would apply to the land and carry with the land. But like I said, that future development would be required to meet the development standards that we have in place, minus the variances that you suggest tonight.
got you.
So do you want to,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
happy with what they got?
I'm good. I'm good.
I had a question about, was that the eastern side of the building, if you pull the site plan back up? The left side? That, we don't require any kind of landscaping buffer on that side of the parcel?
For the future 50,000?
No,
Oh.
for the other side, the proposed.
Left side of
Oh, the
the,
west side.
right there.
Is that west? Okay.
No, the truck drive, this would be part of the future truck drive as well.
Okay, I see.
So, yeah, I'm sorry.
So there's nothing buffering that side of the building?
At this time, no. And again, we're set back well off the road, off of State Road 32. I don't have the measurement of how far back we are.
I see.
What's that? Yeah, it's 225 feet to the property line, so we're at least 300 plus feet away from State Road 32.
So that truck drive is part of a separate parcel owned by the city?
Correct. That's for future potential development, when and if the expansion is
So
built.
that truck drive will go in if they expand the building?
Correct.
Got it.
Other questions?
The variances for this evening, are they for the other building also? The one to the
Truck
east?
drive, in between the two buildings. So the shared drive that goes between the two buildings, there's no proposed drive along the eastern portion. So we're just talking about this centered
Okay.
truck area and then the potential future dock and truck area along the west side.
So the variances that we passed tonight would encompass this whole property?
It would.
Okay.
Any other questions? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve docket 22-29 as written.
Second?
Mark Vanneman,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Passes.
Right next to that old KFC, right?
Okay, have one more for tonight.
Right.
Patterson Street Partners LLC requesting a development standard variance to construct a speculative warehouse to be located at 320 North Patterson Street. The property is zoned ID General Industrial.
All right. This one should be reasonably familiar to you. This came before you back in the February meeting, where you did I did approve 3 variance requests for setbacks along the front sides of this particular parcel. But for a quick review and for the thousands of people watching at home on YouTube, we'll do a quick recap. What happened when they submitted the development plans for this particular project, after a thorough review of those site plans and the construction documents and the landscaping plans, we did identify one additional variance that would be required. And it's going to sound like we're on repeat here, but it is for parking area curbing in the truck area. So I pulled the site plan back up. Again, this is on Patterson Street. Patterson runs north-south here. The Big Four Trail runs just along the southern portion of this property. This is an old industrial site that the applicant has invested significant money into demolishing the old building and remediating all the environmental issues that were present. As they finish up the completion of the remediation, like I said, they submitted the application for development plan, and we identified the additional parking area curbing variance that would be required. So what we're referring to is along the western portion of this parcel of this development, we have the truck drive and the truck dock areas. They are requesting relief from the perimeter curbing along the outer portion of the truck area. This site is designed to sheet drain from the east to the west into the storm swales, as well as the detention facility and the regulated drain that's nearby. So adding the curbing would create a drainage situation. So by having it no curb, it will continue to sheet drain off to the west and to the north. So in the staff analysis, obviously the parking requirement, again, poses no imminent threat to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The applicant is proposing the sheet draining to the swales, so no drainage issues would impact the neighboring properties. The relief from the parking curb will not affect the use or value of the area adjacent to the property in an adverse manner. Curb has been provided along the north and south parking areas for the employee and customer parking areas, and those that are most visible along Patterson Street. This relief would be on the back side of the property that would be visible from CSX as they're driving by in the trains. So the elimination of the curb is consistent with other similar uses. And then the strict application of the terms of the UDO will result in practical difficulties The applicant's provided future pavement additions to accommodate loading spaces, parking, structures, outdoor storage areas. So the installation occurs from the Phase 1 development would need to be demolished for any future pavement additions. So with that, the City of Lebanon Planning staff recommends approval of the development standard variance request to permit relief from the parking curb requirements of the UDO. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I think it's pretty plain and simple on that.
Yeah.
I think you've heard it before.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dehart, you want to add anything?
Adam Dehart, Project Manager with Keeler Webb Associates. I had two items that I did want to add to Mr. Reynolds' presentation. One, on the west property line, we are not sheet draining directly to the swale, so the curb isn't an issue there. What we're trying to overcome in that area is requirements for the floodplain elevation. What essentially we left off curb in those areas on the plan where we were going to have expansion into future parking areas, expansion into future truck parking areas, possibility of connection to future accessory buildings, and future truck docks. All other areas on the north, east, and south sides of the site will have the required curb. So we're simply asking for relief in the zoning ordinance so that we don't install curb that we may have to turn around and rip out with the first tenant that moves into the facility that wants to expand the parking lot, just in those areas where we have designated for future parking or future outdoor storage at the rear of the property. And of course, anything that is put in that would be permanent, once it gets to the edge, would have the curb put in. That would be on a future basis. So we're just trying to prevent from putting in curb today and ripping it out as soon as we have a tenant move in. With that, we'd be available for any comments or questions you might have, and we can concur with the findings of fact in the staff report.
Thank you, sir. Once again, I will open it to the public. If anybody cares to speak. Okay, we'll close the public end of it then. And if there's no further questions, would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the development standard variance request to permit relief from the parking curb requirements.
Second.
Mark Vanneman,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Good luck. Does anybody have anything else they want to say tonight? Okay, our next regular meeting will be scheduled for Monday, May the 22nd. I'm sorry, May the 2nd at 7 p.m. here. A motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.